start off. My name is Ray Morales. I am the proud principal here at Sealth International High School. I'm in my 3rd year, and I'm exactly where I need to be. I love this community, and I think sometimes they love me back. So, that's a win. I'm going to pass the mic to Principal Ingram.
Good evening. I'm Principal Ingram. I'm principal of Denny International Middle School, and this is my 1st year in SPS, and it's been nothing but love at first sight since I got here. I love the richness and the thriving of this community, and just have been so enveloped by them. So yes, I am also the proud principal of Denny International.
So a little context as to what this, the next hour or so will look like. Panelists will introduce themselves, the organizations that they represent, and we'll do some reporting out on some work that has been done in the past couple of months, and then we will open it up for Q&A from folks from here in the auditorium. Feel free to ask questions when the time comes near at the microphones that are here at down at the end of the aisles. We also have some QR codes posted up around the auditorium. If you want to scan that QR code and you feel more comfortable just sending a message via a form, we will have somebody monitoring it that will be able to provide a response. And just know that maybe some of the questions that are asked this evening we might not be able to respond to in the moment, but we promise to provide a timely response. All right, before we go any further and I pass the mic to our panelists, I just want to give a shout out to all the students in this auditorium who are helping facilitate. They're the ones who set up the mics, they're the ones who are doing the recording, they're the ones who are making this happen. So can we give them a round of applause? All right, I'm going to pass the mic to our panelists.
All right, good evening. It's an honor to be here and a privilege. My name is Chris Carter. I'm the Southwest Regional Executive Director of Schools in the Seattle Public Schools, and my job, my role is to support principals and schools in Southwest Seattle. That's K through 12, so all elementary, middle, and high schools here in Southwest Seattle.
Good afternoon, good evening actually. Captain Rivera, Southwest Precinct, commander for the Southwest Precinct here for West Seattle. Thanks to the BTSA for inviting us, and just in case I mess up, my wife's a teacher, so don't tell on me. But thank you for inviting us. We're always available. Invite us to anything you want to invite us to, we'll participate. And thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Marnie Campbell. I'm the Executive Director of Operations for Seattle Public Schools. I oversee a number of departments, including safety and security, and that brings me here specifically, but more generally, I'm a longtime Seattle parent and principal. I was my own kids' middle and high school principal. So, and 3 kids that I raised through Seattle Public Schools. I also want to recognize Board Director Gina Top is here, some of our other partners from Seattle Parks and Recreation and SPD, but we'll have some more introductions in a moment. And then all of you who are here tonight, it is so critical that we come together, that we make space for the hurt and harm in order to find solutions and in order to find a way forward that is radically kind and that enables us to really build new relationships. And that's really what this is all about, is building those relationships that allow us to have a community of trust and of peace and of safety. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Leila Gaysar. I am the District Relations Director for Seattle City Council member Rob Saka. So I do all the district relations for D1, which includes West Seattle, where we're at right now. And my job, if you call our office and someone picks up the phone, that's me. If you email our office and someone responds, that's likely me. And so my job is to be in community, to listen to community concerns and to relay them to the council member, and then for us to advocate for you all, constituents of D1, to the city. And so I'm really happy to be here to listen and to be an active participant in finding a solution.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Judd. I am the Interim Recreation Division Director for Seattle Parks and Recreation. In our division, we have all of our public facilities and our programs, including the Southwest Pool across the street where this tragic event happened. We are very happy to be here, to be with you, to be connecting. We are not happy for the reason why we're here, but like Marty, it's very crucial for us to come together and connect as a community. So we're happy to be here. And here's my colleague, Daisy.
Thank you, everyone. Again, my name is Daisy Katagi, and I am the interim deputy superintendent, and I oversee the Parks and Recreational Service branch. And happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, yes, it's on, right? All right, thank you, everyone. And so what we're going to do next is, like our PTSA spoke to, this is a continuation, so to speak, of a listening session that we did with mostly East African families back on February 1st. We had a listening session in our school library that evening. There were lots of questions. There were lots of concerns, and just some general comments that we needed to hear. That we as a Chief Sealth and Denny campus, as part of the West Seattle community, we needed to hear them. And in the last couple of months, there has been some work done to try to begin to respond to some of those words that were spoken that night, right? And so what we want to do this evening is we want to take a moment to maybe kind of provide some responses, like, hey, we heard you, and these are some things that we've done, and these are some plans that we have moving forward. So with that being said, I don't know if right now is the appropriate time, Director Campbell, for you to perhaps speak on some of the work that we've done.
Thank you, everybody, and good evening again. I wanted to point out that around the room are some QR codes. They're posted on the walls. If you find that at any time you would like to give some more feedback in the moment or later, someone will be monitoring it. It will take you to a survey. It's anonymous. You can provide your contact information, and if you would like a response and provide that, I will make sure that you get a response. It is very critical to me. So again, as I said, I am a parent and I'm a longtime building administrator, and I know how critical it is that we make space, particularly when we're grieving, particularly when we have deep trauma as a community, that we provide that communication that is in the moment and over time. So I also have my business cards. Please feel free to reach out to me. If I can't help you or answer a question, I will find a way to answer that question, and I will find a way to take action on your behalf. This work is critical to all of us here, but I want you to know that I make this work very personal because it's the most important work we can do as a society. There are three things that I wanted to address tonight that were brought up and by a campus group of Denny and Sealth related to some actual physical security, safety needs here at the Denny Sealth campus. They have to do with cameras, door alarms, and then security staff. So first of all, I want to share that when we think about safety, and I approach this again as a building administrator, first and foremost, we want to make sure that we have a baseline of good, solid safety practices as a community. That means that we have relationships so that when students are in trouble, when they think that something is not okay, that they have an adult they can come to. So that's really critical. The next level of that is to make sure that our buildings are designed to enable us to be aware of what's happening around the building. In a big campus like Denny Sealth, we have exterior doors where students can leave and or let people in. And that is tricky for us as administrators because we like to know who's in our buildings at all times. So we've worked with the Denny Sealth team to identify external doors that we can attach, they're crash bar doors, we can attach alarms to them so that if someone is going out those doors or letting somebody in, it will set off an alarm. We have used these all over the district. Sometimes they become a nuisance and people actually disable the alarms because they find it irritating and frustrating, but we're trying to be very strategic, working with our school leaders and their building safety teams to make sure that we're putting those alarms where they need to be, because we know it's critical that we know where our students are. School is the safest place for our students to be. I will mention as well, truancy is an issue that we are always thinking about, and I work closely with our coordinated student health team. They work with truancy. But one of the things that I paid attention to the most, particularly as a high school principal, was unexcused absences in my students. If students are not in school, that means more than likely they're doing something that's not safe or healthy for themselves or for others. And it is critical to me that our students are in school, that we know where they are. So that's just something we're working on as a district, is to make sure that we know we're taking accurate attendance, we know where they are. If they're missing, we know to go looking for them. And that applies to our partners as well. So we're working with our partners at Parks and Recreation to say, what do we do when it's during the school day and we see some of our students? How do we collaborate and connect so that we're sure that they're where they're supposed to be? So door alarms is one. The other thing that we're thinking about is cameras. Denny has a pretty good suite of internal building cameras, but the external cameras needed some work. So this week, I believe we're finalizing a pretty broad sweep of external cameras for Denny and Sealth that is going to provide us a really wide view of what's going on outside of our campus, as well as upgrading and repairing any of the internal cameras that aren't working so well. Sometimes we have to adjust their angle, sometimes there are blind spots, sometimes they stop. We have cameras that will move around if we need them to. Sometimes those mechanisms get broken. So we are replacing all of those cameras. So external door alarms, making sure that we're alarming some of our doors, working on truancy, working on cameras. There was also a request to have additional security staff. We have added an additional security staff to the Denny South campus. That we know that that's critical, and we want to make sure that these folks know our students, that they are also safe adults that students can come to. The idea is not that they're enforcers necessarily, but they are additional adults that can provide that awareness of what's going on around the campus, so that we're able to monitor and track the safety level at all times. So I just wanted to let you know that those are things that we heard that we are acting on right away. Thank you. And again, if you have additional questions, we'll have an opportunity to ask, but you can also use that QR code. We also have some cards up here and pens if you wanted to write something down, and I would be sure again to make sure that we find a response to that. Thank you.
We wanted to open it up as well to anybody else on the panel that would like to speak to anything that that might be relevant or that Director Campbell touched upon.
Few things to connect on. With Marty. Thank you very much. One thing I wanted to say is that we connected, meaning Seattle Parks and Recreation and Seattle Public Schools, on a campus safety team that is starting to streamline our communication between our organizations, particularly Marnie and I now kind of regularly call each other when something's going on. It's been a nice connection, and I know you and Daisy also had that connection too. So that's the key component that's happened since this incident. The second is that at the Southwest Pool and Complex across the street, we have actually installed new cameras that are now operational and working, and so that is an improvement. And finally, more of a system-wide improvement for Seattle Parks and Recreation, not just for Southwest, is we actually have 20 park rangers that have been onboarded and will be actually kind of roaming around our park and facilities all over the city, and they're responsive to really kind of doing some safety audits for buildings, checking in on things when things happen with staff. It may not have addressed this particular instance, but we really do have security on the mind in various different ways through relationships, building improvements, and really bringing on more folks who can help us shore up our facilities and our security. So those are 3 highlights from Seattle Parks and Recreation. Anything else? Thank you.
All right. Anybody else from the panel? And if not, that's okay, because we want to make sure and provide some time for questions to be asked. And I think when the time is appropriate, or maybe after the Q&A, Principal Ingram and I will also just kind of speak to a couple of things that we are currently doing apart from what's already been spoken on. So at this time, if anybody would like to ask a question, so there's a few different formats, right? There's a QR code that you can send to the form that we can look at. There's no cards being passed out. Thank you, Mr. R. And then, of course, there are the microphones down here in the front. So, sure.
Can you hear me here?
If you're able to use the microphone, I think that would be best just for sound equity.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Okay, great. This has to do with the cameras. Will they be active after when school's not in session?
Yeah, cameras work 24/7. They're motion activated, so thank you. The cameras are always on, so we have a bank, and I want to introduce Mr. Dan DeLong back here in the back, who's our Assistant Manager of Safety and Security. We have a Safety and Security office in the school district office that is 24/7, 365. They have a bank of monitors. They are always monitoring the cameras throughout the district. So those interior and exterior cameras are motion activated. We also have intrusion detection systems so that if someone comes into the building, there's an alarm system that's set up that we know when someone's entered the building. So yes, and so when there's movement, those cameras pop on and we're able to see what's going on.
Do those exterior cameras catch the parking lot?
I believe that we have set those to catch the parking lot. So the design of those cameras was to catch as many key areas as possible. So yes, I think so.
Okay, this really doesn't have much to do with what we're here tonight about, but there is tremendous amount of noise, cars screeching, doing donuts, everything else in the parking lots, pretty much every weekend night. So I don't know if that would be any deterrent to cameras.
It's possible, and I think also, I think we want to be good neighbors. We want to we want to make sure that we're not creating a situation in the neighborhood that's unpleasant. So that's certainly something that we want to be aware of if that's happening at night. That however you can notify, fix it, find it, or notify the police. But certainly cameras would be something that would catch that activity. Yes.
Yeah, I think we have. I live on 24th Avenue Southwest for 33 years, and inevitably Friday nights and Saturday nights, 10 o'clock it starts, and then most recently pop, and we do call. But if the cameras could help at least identify who the culprit might be in the car, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to kind of follow up, maybe comment to that. I know that one thing that we don't do here at Sealth, and we can, it's just that our campus is used throughout the weekend. We can lock our gates. We just have not, we haven't traditionally done that. We can lock both of our gates. That's what Denny does, so it definitely, hinders folks from coming into their parking lot. So that's something that we can definitely explore and look into for our specific parking lot. If it's SWAC, the larger parking lot, then that's more of that's a harder one.
Yeah, we just started locking the Denny gates this year because of situations that happen in the parking lot, so we lock it during the weekends.
Thank you all so much. Before I begin, I just want to commend both of these principals for them to come together and say we need to focus on public safety. How can we do it collectively is a part of the community compass. So I just want to thank you very much for the work that you're doing tonight. I'm kind of still at community is still in question, right? With the death and bark in this community, right? I wish we would be able to still get a follow-up. I know that SPD was able to interview some folks who were temporarily detained but let go. I think it's really important if we are going to be able to start the public safety meeting to kind of start with that, because his life was lost and really started getting a lot of people in this district rallying together to figure out what to do. So I don't want I mean, I stand here because of him. A lot of us community members that have been concerned about public safety for the past couple of months, which goes beyond erratic driving. The concern is, lives are getting lost. There's still accountability in the areas of Parks and Rec because the cameras should have already been installed before kids even went there. So I kind of want to get an update with that, as well as what are we doing as a collective like everyone that's up there, and appreciate the work that y'all are doing, but also want to know of what is it as a collective that you are doing to make sure that we are, when we're saying public safety, I'm more so speaking in the areas of gun violence. Because when we're talking about, sorry, I'm long-winded, sorry y'all. Because when we're talking about schools, we had school shootings and we were sending kids back to school within 2 days. I just lost my uncle, and it took me a week to go back to school. It took me a week to go back to work. And we're sending teachers, and we're sending students and principals back out into the wilderness with no game plan. That falls on the school district, that falls on the people that we have in office. We have to come up with a better plan in the areas of public safety, because my main concern is the kids and their mental health. So I know that was a lot to unpack, but instead of me just asking repeated questions, I'd just rather just make it a statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, and I'm going to pass it off to my partner here, if that's okay, in a moment. But we've been working, and since I've been in the role of working with safety and security, I have been endeavoring to do just what you're saying, is to build collective action. So our partnerships with Seattle Parks and Recreation started last spring when we had a shooting in the Garfield area. And it wasn't in the school, but it was in the vicinity of the school and a parks facility. And we said, we can't point fingers at each other. It doesn't matter where it happened. It's our community. It's our kids. It's our hearts. So we started building those connections. We're building connections with SPD. So we have spent a number of Saturdays in the past 2 months meeting up with our partners at Seattle Police Department in the various precincts, doing walkthroughs of our middle and high school buildings, to first of all make sure that they have accurate outlines and maps of what our schools look like, so that they know how to provide support if and when there's an incident. Our SPD partners actually have key cards that open our schools, so if they needed to help out in an emergency, they could. That's a partnership that is really important. And then partnering with you. So all of those things are things that we're working on. So these campus safety teams that Brian talked about are really critical. So we're implementing them in a few key locations here at Garfield Nova and at Jane Addams, Nathan Hale, which is where we also have our teen life centers, so that we can start having these collective groups that are meeting regularly, so that we know what's going on in our community and that we're sharing that collective action and that collective care. So I so appreciate what you're saying. It is a loss of life and Mubarak, and we are here for him, and I want to honor him tonight, and his family and his community. And the challenge, of course, in going back to school, we know that school is a safe place and a good place for students to be. So balancing out giving time to recover and also knowing that it is a safe and healthy place, or can be, for our students, is something we're always thinking about, but I appreciate the insight from your perspective. Thank you. And I'd let our partner talk about, how we're working together and what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. I think I was at the last meeting when you asked a similar question, and very important question, right? Because we want to know what everybody's doing, not just us. So I can tell you what we're doing internally at the West Seattle precinct here. So we collaborate a lot. I mean, first of all, we have to work with the community, right? We ain't going to solve anything unless the community's involved, because that's the way the system works. Our investigations go on forward. Like this investigation you're talking about, we're still in progress. It's still open. It's still an active investigation. And we will continue to do that until we solve this, right? Again, we need community input and community collaboration to finalize this. As far as parks, school district, we do have a lot of partnerships with them. We're trying to work a little bit at a time on everything we can, right? As you all probably aware, juveniles are afforded a little more protections in the legal side, since those investigations become a lot more complicated, right? So working through those systems, and the best we can do is what we're doing, right? But and as far as us at the precinct level, I mean, I got my community liaison person here. That's the first thing I did when I came to this precinct, is make sure we have a community person that's out there connecting with other communities, especially the youth, right? So what he's doing with our community service officers is communicating with the parents of these juveniles. I mean, we're having kids that are 11, 12, 13 years old getting into some issues, right? So we want to attack this at that age. We want to make sure that we're directing them, redirecting them, making that contact with the parents, because we actually need that connection with the parents, right? We need to make sure that the school district is already doing what they can. They go to the parks areas, they do what they can. But the parents, they're the ones that are really going to help us out with this. And so we're working, that's what mainly one of the main purposes. As far as SBD wide, as soon as we started getting this gun violence issues started cropping up, I'm telling you, we are in a crisis right now as youth crimes are just skyrocketing. I mean, this is having to do with Hyundai issues and the Kia problems and all that. We're way, way above what we used to be. All the other stats, are either equalized or they're even going lower. So all those other stats are good, but of course, juveniles are the most important things in our world. But unfortunately, this is where we're at with them. So we started, not too long ago, we started a community violence task force where, again, with partnership with our regional and federal partners, we're working out and see what strategies would be used to assist this youth, whether they be using the penal system or using a redirection and some kind of healing method. Whatever it is, we're attempting it, right? We're working on it. And like you see in the news, I don't know how many of you guys have been paying attention, there's some serious actions being taken out there by some of this youth, right? And of course, we'll still work with the juveniles, we'll still work with the parents, and we'll try to at least send them in a different direction, but at some point we do have to take penal action and hold some people accountable. That's what we're doing in SBD.
In June, we have Gun Violence Prevention Week. So we are also working with the mayor's office, Davita Briscoe, who's the mayor's gun violence prevention specialist. So I would invite anyone to join us. We're just building out some activities and some things that we want to do to make our district orange in recognition of gun violence prevention. It's symbolic, but it's also very important. So be on the lookout for some of those things.
It's good to see you again. I just want to share what our office, Councilmember Rob Saka's office, is doing or has been doing since we first attended the rally right after Mubarak's life was taken in late January. So after we left that rally, minutes after, I turned to Rob. I was about to say something to him, and he was on his phone. I was like, Rob, what are you doing? And Councilmember Saka had immediately called Superintendent of Parks, AP Diaz, to say, why weren't the cameras at the Southwest Teen Life Center working? And within 2 months, we've worked with Parks, who's been an amazing partner to get those cameras up and running, because that was something the family said was really important to them. To have those cameras not only be present, but be active and working. And so that's something we wanted to do. And then a few weeks ago, our office was just again at a rally with Mubarak's family at a mosque in South Seattle. And we continue to be in contact with the CPC and Mubarak's family, and we're happy to meet with them. And we have been calling and emailing just to make sure we're in contact, because it is a large issue. And as you said, there is one family who has lost a child, and that's unacceptable. And so we want to make sure that while we are looking at the larger picture of public safety, and anyone who's heard Councilmember Saka talk knows that he values public safety, we still want to make sure that we remember that individual lives have been lost, and the impact for those families is not going to go away within a few days or a week or months. Losing somebody can bring a lifetime of sorrow, and I want to recognize that. So I appreciate you asking that question. Yeah.
I'm a little too short, so I don't know if it's working. But I'm a Chief Sealth student here, and looking in the crowd, I see that there's a lot of parents, there's a lot of staff, and not a lot of students. I mean, I have some people here, but it's still not as many as we would like. When this first happened, it was very traumatic, and I didn't even know the person personally. But walking through the hallways, knowing that and seeing the effects that it just has on the people, you get that secondhand trauma. And so I think, it's really great seeing all these community members here. It's really great knowing that, you are out here and you're making all these changes. It really is, it feels really good. And so also knowing that we have the support of our principal and Denny's principal and all of you all, we really do appreciate that. But I just want, in respect for my fellow students, is just that, when you're going through that and you're immediately pushed out into the media, and I think for Chief Sealth specifically, we've been on the media a lot, and so I think, it's important for other community members to also see this. However, I think also in respect for the students that are in the school, also in respect for the families who are affected, I think, there needs to be more communication one-on-one with them. Like, I appreciate all of this, but I think, this really needs to go out to the students. The students are the ones that are going to be living with these effects. The students are the ones that are going to be growing up knowing that, whether or not they want to hear that you are in support of them, which you are in support of us, whether or not they know that. And I don't think that there's a presence from you all enough. I think all these changes are good, but it's hard as a student when you're like, well, where's the student voice put into that? Where has the student been? The students have been involved to be like, yeah, we should have those cameras. And those are things like, that adults and you guys in your specialties should be, in charge of. But I think also having that partnership with the students is crucial. I think all of these people are here because they love this community. And we've been broken by this community. And I think knowing that you're here with us is one part of it. But I think actively being a part of it is really important. I've seen both of our principals do it. My brother is a part of Denny, and so I know that at the Denny side, he's also getting that support. I'm part of Chief Sealth. I know I'm getting the support from my staff and my friends. But I think it's even more important hearing it from you all, people who, we might not think are part of it or might not be putting in this work. Hearing that you are putting in this work, I think would be really important, really, a step further in healing. I think there's too much that's been going on that just we've been left in the dark, and it's frustrating hearing it always in the media. And I think, families and students just kind of want that honest one-on-one, where it's not like your community, let's look at what's happening. We just need that one-on-one that's like, we understand that this is tough. And, we understand that this conversation is tough. It might be what people say is more adult, but I think even for a middle schooler, like a sixth grader, I think they understand the loss of someone being in their building. They understand the loss that, potentially a sibling or their friend could be gone at any second, because gun violence is a huge problem in the United States. And so I don't think this is a too mature topic to handle or too mature for, students to be a part of. I think that's even more important that we are a part of this conversation. And so I just want to put student voice in here that we do appreciate what we're doing, but we also, we would like to be a part of it. We'd also like to see more of it, because in here I only see 4 students maybe, and that's compared to our 1,000+ students in both Chief Sealth and Denny. That is not enough to accommodate for all of them. That is not, in the best interest for them. And I think they would really appreciate if you did show up in a time outside of this where, we could have more students, we could have that more participation and partnership. And I think that's something that we really value, and I want to hear your input on that.
Thank you for coming here.
Thank you, Satomi.
Hey, first of all, thank you for all of that. Great information for us, right? Before the pandemic, I used to run the Collaborative Bureau, and we used to have the school liaison officers and stuff, so we used to do a lot of programming with the high school students. And I love talking to students and stuff, so I welcome that coming back. And you know, my staff is always available to you guys. If you decide that you want to have a rally, you want to talk, and you want to talk to us, you want us there, just invite us. We'll show up for you. So we will always be there for you.
Thank you for that comment. I also just wanted to take this time to really amplify the work that the Seattle Parks and Recreation is doing in partnership through our Teen Life Center. We've got some staff in this space, and we particularly have the teen and youth manager in the room as well. And I share that in a sense of knowing that recreation programs is an extension of out of school time. So there's an avenue for you to advocate, participate, speak your truth. I think this campus center committee that we're creating within each of the Teen Life Center campuses is another way for young people to get involved. But I just want to daylight what you are really speaking of. Are we being mindful about the voices that are not in the room? And if they're not in the room, how are we advocating for that space? And I think that's just something to really amplify and share with what you're bringing to this table. I think collectively, I think this generation we're in, even going to the comment that was shared earlier, gun control, gun violence, this is a universal issue. And unfortunately, it's having a stronger touch point with our communities. And I think in addition to that, are there things we could do to try to elevate it up to the legislation to try to make changes on that level? Is there things we could do just starting at home to educate guardianship and parents about just gun safety and gun violence? And I think some of those things could kind of take us in a place where we could have some small wins. In addition to that, I think just getting into a place to just recognize that we're also in an environment where like information is shared so quickly. Like we're combated with video games. I see the amount of people, these young people that play Call of Duty. I mean, that's an influence. You talk about social media and how quickly that moves. And is that a tool that maybe in this room we could think about repurposing to really kind of advocate a different voice? So I think there's a lot of things that we could do as individuals, but I 100% believe with you. Like, if we have people that are not in the room that need to provide some solution-based outcomes, I'm all for it. And can I have Parks and Recreation staff in the room? Raise your hand. Please feel free to connect with them, because that's also an outlet. But I think most importantly, if anyone has a caring adult in their life, it's the responsibility of that caring adult to take that information and to do something with it. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that feedback. There's something we can do immediately, and I always love that I get the opportunity to learn from our brilliant students, and something that we can do immediately is actually have students on our community safety teams. And so that's an action we can take immediately. So thank you for that feedback.
Thank you, Stormy, as well. I want to also just say that one thing, and you know, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here that's on the panel, and I'm thinking, just I want to make sure that I don't want to put words in your mouth, Stormy, but in order for us to have kind of more presence or other folks helping out with an assembly or a gathering or anything of that nature, what I don't want to necessarily happen is for one more thing to get put on the plates of administrators and or support staff in the building. Because I'm hearing what you're saying, and if I'm picking up what you're putting down to Tommy, it's like you feel you have the support of your building leadership and staff, but what we could use is we could use some additional supports or just presence from other entities. And so I just kind of want to, am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to make sure and like call that out, and you know, not exactly sure what that looks like. I think we're all intelligent folks and we can kind of think about what that could look like, but I just want to call that out, because what needs to happen is there just needs to be, I think, some stronger partnerships, and saying, somebody saying, hey, Principal Ingram, Principal Morales, we're going to take this thing off your plate, we're going to ask for input from your staff, but we're going to make this thing happen for you. So I would welcome that. Would you welcome that?
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like you're speaking towards what we're supposed to be, is a neighborhood school, right? And that means that our doors are open and that we're welcoming and we're all working together for the betterment of everyone. Because I know, and I know that Principal Morales shares this with me, is we have nothing but brilliant students in our campus, and it is our jobs to raise them up to be the most brilliant that they can be.
Thank you.
I'm a little taller, so hold on. First and foremost, I would like to introduce myself. First name is Omar, last name is Mohammed. I want to give a huge thanks to both the principals. The last 4 months, I have been coming to Denny. I have been coming to Chief Sealth. I've been walking down those hallways. I'm a Somali American, East African born, living in this country. And honestly, what happened to Mubarak is it hits closer to my home than anything else. And I've been an advocate for my community. I've done multiple events within my community. I've coached these kids. Some of these kids that are currently going to school, I've coached their brothers and their siblings. And this is a community that's extremely dear to my heart. And some of the findings that I found just walking down these hallways is a lot of these kids, they don't have extracurricular activities that they can do after school, right? And we also created a East African committee board. And some of the findings that I found I created about 52 questions, and it is just straight to the nose, asking them the hard questions, the things that, that are uncomfortable. And some of the findings that I did found was, right now I'm in partnership and trying to help out the PTSA. And once I let them know that I was doing that, one of the questions that they had, and this is something that I'm relaying back from my community, is why are they involved now? That is a question that they asked. And to me, that sat really heavy with me, because that is a very good question. Why now? And I personally believe that we need to start working, and going forward now, I think we need to start working more on preventative things. What can we do to prevent things from happening? We don't want a response when things already happen. When I was growing up in the 90s, I had teen centers. We had activities. I always had FOMO. If my friends, they went, swimming, if they went hiking and they came back and talked about it, I felt left out. Right now, a lot of these kids, they don't have that. And it goes back to what Daisy said. There was a supportive adult in my life that pushed us to do great things, that opened up doors, And I also wanted to speak on, the Parks and Recs also. I talked to the local imam at High Point, and he feels like, things that he wants to do at these local parks, it's kind of being gatekept. And he wants access. He wants to do events within the community. So Parks and Recs needs to do a better job with, people of minority, people of color, people of immigrants, to have access to these parks also. And for me, these were very eye-opening. I'm here not as a parent. I'm not a parent myself, but I'm here representing the East African community. I'm here to bridge a gap so we can all come together and start working on some preventative measures. I'm also working with Lieutenant Joshua Zimmers and Officer Aaron Lucas. Officer Aaron Lucas has been in the community for a very long time. Ms. Burhan can contest to that with her sons being able to see Officer Lucas being a champion for the community. And last thing that I also want to touch up on is we need more support from our school boards too. We need our school boards to be front and center and tackle some of these questions, these hard-nosed topics, and make sure that, we are collaborating with different communities and we're all coming together. For me, I'm here to try to bridge a gap. I'm here to make sure our youth, they're going to be the next leader. My father told me, he said, you got to start watching the news now. And when the reason why he said that is because, I'm that next leader and I need to know what's going on within the world and within our locality. So these kids, we want to prepare them for the future so they can understand what's happening in their world. And I really appreciate you guys just being here. And I appreciate all the, folks that are out here right now. And just, I know it's long-winded, like my brother said earlier, but we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being here. And I honestly look forward to working with the school board, the Parks and Recs, police officers. I'm a champion for that, and I appreciate you guys.
After you. You're the right side.
My name is Naomi. I'm a parent of a student at Sealth, and I'm an alum myself from a million years ago. I wanted to just bring up an additional security concern about our learning environment. And I think that most people here are probably already aware of or have seen the video of one of our teachers, Mr. Galash, during the school day, surrounded by students, speaking to cameras to minimize, deny, and justify the rape and murder of innocent young women at a music festival. It's just such dehumanizing rhetoric and a glorification, or at least an endorsement of violence, and it doesn't belong in our school. It is a terrible message to send to all of our staff and students, and it's a devastating message to the young women who attend this school. Dehumanizing rhetoric creates an unsafe environment. It's an unsafe learning environment. It undermines the academic integrity of our school. And urgently for tonight's meeting, Mr. Golash's rationalization of violence fuels the mindsets that result in school and community shootings. We have to do better to help our young people navigate the complexities of the world around them and to respond without resorting to violence. So performing for the cameras, Mr. Golash betrayed his duty to our students and their learning community. He misinformed our students about the basic frameworks of civil society and international law, and he undermined our school's values and integrity, which include critical thinking about our own assumptions and about the events happening around us, and which include our care and love for each other. Although I haven't seen statements from the district directly denouncing Mr. Golash's performance, I do understand that he's not teaching at Sealth for at least the rest of this academic year. And I just want to commend the school and the district for that. Thank you. We all cherish freedom of thought and expression as important academic values, and it takes real discernment and courage to act on the abandonment of duty to our students that this teacher has displayed. So thank you really for taking action to protect our community and to keep our schools safe. And this action is an example of the moral and ethical leadership that we really need from our schools and our school leadership in this moment. So I just wanted to thank you.
a loud person. Can I speak please? Huh? Can you guys hear me? No. So my name is Prabhan Farah. I'm here for behalf of my community. Can you? Oh my God. Hello. Okay. Okay, my name is Prahan Farah. I'm one of the staff members at Denny Middle School. Also, I'm a very proud mom. 5 of my kids graduate from Southwest Regional, 3 Sealth, 2 West Seattle High School. And my baby, she's going to graduate from Chief Sealth, 2025. I just want to say 2 things. First, I'm very grateful being a part of this community. And I'm always so grateful, so many ways. We have a great community, great leaders, great teachers. I'm not saying because I'm a staff member. I always tell the parents what I see in the building, whether Sealth or Denny, or either STEM, K-8, or Concord Elementary, Roxhill. So we, as an immigrant, this country, which is a lot of people don't understand the meaning of immigrant. Immigrant is a 4 categories. 1 is someone who came to look a better life. Someone who's not satisfied their country. But us, East African, we are refugee. Means we left our home. Everything we know, the life we grew up. Everything behind the back. And came here. We escaped from war. I hope you guys understand me very well. And we are in an invisible world, 24/7. When I'm sleeping, I'm in an invisible world. When I'm awake, I'm in an invisible world. That means we are in a dark time. First, our kids lost their identity. And that's the reason why we have a very difficulty to understand or collaborate as a parent, district, police, or anything, because we are newcomers. What I want to ask, direct to Mr. Brian, Southwest Community Center is the place where I raise my kids, sitting until 12 a.m., sitting with the police officer, chatting with them, enjoying life, right? I never thought in my life, my oldest son is 31 years old. When I moved in this neighborhood, a couple of times, he was 9 years old. Okay, I never thought the camera is not working. I cannot even imagine that. Every single day is something bothers me and wonders me and said, how in the world that happened? This is what I like to see as a parent perspective, as a district employee. We like to request Seattle Public Schools, they need to dismantle our kids not to go park and recreation during the school hours. That means we know our kids, they are in the building and they are safe. So we need to eliminate in between the district and staff, student going to Southwest community. We need to come out. After school activities, fine. But we need to make sure our kids stays safe, or otherwise, park and recreation. They need to provide safety environment. They have only 30 minutes. I don't even understand how 30 minutes anyone can go and come back to the class. It's a very distraction. And I don't agree and I don't appreciate. I grew up in Africa, where I grew up as a child exploring life. No juvenile jail, no drama, no drugs, no violence, no gang, no nothing but innocent kids growing beautiful like a tree. But I raise my kids, please, every time I have to have a conversation. That's the park and recreation. I love park and recreation. We enjoy the swimming, we enjoy all the great, but not during the school time. Our kids must stay in school so they can be safe. Mubarak, we wouldn't lose if during the school time he's staying here and we're not allowing them to travel Southwest community and not knowing the camera is not working. And it's very hurtful. I'm a mother. My womb doesn't have no color. It's an organ. I'm a mother. Every one of these students, Southwest region, All human are my kids. They are my future. They are my dream. Tomorrow I'm relying on them. So that's the park and recreation. They need to come up some way to dismantle that. Denny Middle School and Chiefs, when they built Denny Middle School, I live this way, but I own my house a couple of blocks here. And the community was screaming their whole thing. We cannot do that. I was enjoying and I was happy. But when the tragedy comes, it's so sad. Also, this is our district, Seattle Public School. This is torture. When they built this building, they promised they're going to have a 4th security guard. How we ended up 3 is unacceptable, because between Sealth and Denny, we have a loop. Every time I come during my lunch, in between my lunch, sometimes I goof around. Why I goof around? Because I can. In the loop, I say, why are you sitting here? Are you not supposed to be in class? Go to class. Because they can't have everyone. We need to get it back out of force security, no question. What do you guys promise? I don't care where the money comes from. Even I can let go my job and give it to the security guard if he's accepted, in order to our kids to be safe. And I can go Jeff Benson, scanning his box, and I don't have to worry about the kid's life. Trust me. Because what happened to Mubarak, it could have happened to my kids. It could have happened to all those 1,000 kids. Every day, kids come in and hug me. Ms. Brahan, I don't want to lose them. I want to see their success. That's for the district. Second district, we need to get it back to our police partnership. I really don't care what people believe in about the police. Without police, I would not be safe going to work 1 a.m. And I appreciate their service. They are like my son. Those people who are serving us, taking their life in a dangerous situation, we need to get it back. Our partnership, same like Miss, I love her so much. She's amazing, Miss, it's hard for me, even. Rodriguez, we have many years. We need a great police like her who can understand our kids. And we need to figure out how to budget, because this is the taxpayers' money. I work 7 days a week. I don't have no day off. 32 years I never had no personal vacation, because I dedicated for my kids. I cannot be beautiful and enjoy life without my kids being safe from the street, from the drug. Across the street, some of the people come in and recruiting our kids, and we don't have no power. So we, as East African, we're vulnerable. All the immigrants, the Latinos, I'm speaking all non-speaking English. Someone brought you Somali, Kenya, or Ethiopia and tells you live here, you will be understanding how we live. Yes, we enjoy it, we're grateful, but also we live in a dark life. So I want to see the police back to Chief Sealth and Denny, because this is international school. And we need to understand, the international school need to implement every student background, beliefs, culture. It cannot be just a normal like a Madison or K-8 or Mercer. This is international. We need to attract to other world, and they can come to our school and understand what we offer. Safety is number one. We can't provide academic success without being safe. And the only thing we can do, all of us, putting our mind together, and we need to take action. We don't want to only talk with no action. And I understand every one of you working hard, because a lot of you, I know you, I'm very familiar with faces. So please and please, Mubarak, we lost. This is a part of my religion too. When we lost, we never dwell on why we lost, but we need to come out. It's not going to happen in case an incident like that. Is a death natural? You accept it and moving forward. But how we can prevent it more? Tomorrow is another kid's coming, chasing the park, here in the parking lot, smoking weed, doing all the crap for 11 years old, 12 years old. How many times? This is not something I do. And it's sad, we invest in our money, tragic after tragic. It's something out of your power when it comes to the gun control. That is the legislation, Washington DC, our House representative and senators and our president and all. But with the school, kids need to feel safe here. This is what I always tell my kids. If you're not my house, you must be in your class. You cannot be even the home, even the bath, you're not safe. Clearly. But let's move forward. Brought us back to our police partnership so kids can build a relationship and educate them. Also, the police need to come up better plan to connect to the color community. We cannot always get in arrest and killing and doing all that. We need to have the education and understand where does this kids come from without you judging them. Juvenile jail is not something I grew up, but they shut it down. I'm upset because at least kids have some kind of place where we can tell, hey, you're not coming to class, you're going to go to juvenile jail, or we're going to tax your mom. Then kids been doing better than that. But right now, since COVID-19, kids are powerful, teachers are deterred, and we keep losing. Why? Why we losing educators? Worked so hard over 20 years. Why 10 years old and 15 years old tell me what to do? I have to tell, excuse me, you cannot tell me nothing, but I can listen to you. And this is what I always said, when you're right, I will support you. When you're wrong, I will support you. That's the base of my belief. When you're wrong, I will correct you, and I will direct you in the right direction. That's what we need. That's what we have. So I appreciate your time. I'm kind of emotional because I'm a mom. I've been spending many years in Mumbai. And it hurts me every time. When I'm walking there, when I'm coming south, I live with him every day. So please, let's move forward and have a better system, better after-school program. In school, Wednesdays and half days, let us have some kind of activity where we can do better. Instead, we're sending kids home, 1:30. So thank you. Sorry about that. I talk a lot.
Do any panelists want to respond?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to respond to the one of the points that you mentioned about why weren't the cameras working before. We don't know exactly why. We believe that there was a budget constraint that happened. That's not a great reason, but I just want to be transparent about it, that we realized that we needed to fix something, and we took action in partnership with the council member's office, and we got it done, and they are working today. So I just wanted to thank you for pointing that out and wanted to respond to that. So thank you.
Yeah, just a few comments. First off, and this is going to go back to you, Zatomi, in just a second. But as a director of schools, of course, I was a teacher for a long time and a principal, and you know, every day as an educator in the school, you know, the first thing in our minds, and I know I can speak on behalf of Principal Morales and Principal Ingram, is student safety. Like that is paramount to what we do every day in our schools. And I just wanted I know I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but you know, we spend countless times reviewing our protocols and working with our teaching staff to practice those protocols and make sure that, you know, we're as safe as we can be, and it's never enough, right? And I've heard sentiment here tonight about preventing. You know, well, how do we prevent this? And part of that is engaging with students in the classroom and building those relationships and making sure our school communities are safe. And yet, to Tommy's point, as we've got some students here, but we're missing kids. There's kids that we need to connect with, so how do we do that? With that message, so I'd like to follow up, Satomi, with you and our principals here to really figure out how can we engage students in this critical conversation to ensure their safety and that they're engaged in our work. So.
I think you know, one of the things that I've heard, like, from the whole panel, after I talked, was just, like, the response was more so of, like, there's all these options out here, and I think it was, like, you were saying there's, like, the recreational, something along those lines, but there was ways that students could get involved, and, you know, Mr. Morales, I think what he said was important. It's just that, as a student, I don't know where to go, and it shouldn't be on me for me to reach out and find ways to help my community. As a student, I have school, I have friends, I want to help my community in other ways, and, you know, I think as adults in fields outside of the school, I think it's important that you come up to us first, because, you know, we can do as much as we want. Again, we can do as much as we want to help our own community, but I think it's really important if you are the ones that take that first step forward, because, you know, it's frustrating when you're constantly like, hey, I need help, when you don't even know where to start. When you're a student, like, it shouldn't be on the people, the few students that do make an effort to come here. You know, every student deserves the right to just, you know, be able to listen. Even if they don't want to come up here like what I'm doing now, they deserve a spot to at least sit and be a part of this conversation, to at least listen to this conversation. And so I think, you know, I'm not denying any of the work that you all are doing. In fact, I'm celebrating, because it's like, it's amazing hearing that, you know, the cameras are working. It's amazing that we're taking this action. But I think, you know, that, while that is satisfying to me, I think that message isn't being spread amongst the rest of the students. And I think that's important. I think, you know, we're not denying any of the work, but we will continue to deny if we don't see that support. Again, not saying that you don't support us, it's just that there needs to be more on your part in communicating with us, because, to be frank, us students, we don't know where to start. And, you know, it doesn't have to be as deep as we're going to talk about the kid had died. We don't need to go as deep to where, you know, those conversations should be having at home. You know, that's not on the staff's part, that's not on the admin's part to have that conversation with us, especially when you're a middle schooler. It's like, even though we're mature for those conversations, no one wants to have that conversation. No one wants to be here and talk about how our classmate is gone. No one wants to talk about how their son has died because of the negligence of XYZ. We want to be here to celebrate our community. And part of that is just knowing that, like, again, you're here with us. And, you know, I'm at a loss of words, but we do appreciate what we're doing, but we also need that respect back, because we just need some more clarity. We need more clarity of, you know, even if it's not, again, that deep, it's just like baseline, we got the cameras fixed, baseline, you know, here are some supports that we can offer for you students, baseline, you know, this is how we in our own specific field are serving you, baseline, you know, we're gonna talk to you without cameras that are gonna go on like whatever news site. You know, we don't want, as much as we love our community, we also need that own intimate space as students, because it's a hectic world and everything constantly being on the media. As much as we love that support from the community, you know, the students also just want time to process in our own communities with our own groups of people with the support of you all, because like it's very frustrating and it's very sad, but I for sure can say with confidence that if you do make that effort, that's going to change a lot. It's going to change 150, because now they're going to see all the work that you're doing. They're going to see you coming over here. They're going to see like, oh, you're a parent, so then that means you understand some of the things we're going through. Or, oh, you understand, you know, you're looking out for us, so that's why you made those changes. Or, oh, that's why, you know, I want to be a part of this community. That's why I want to be that job, or I want to continue my life. I think that will be a bigger moment for students here than here are some efforts that you yourselves, student advocates, should have made, when in reality, the students just want to be students. And if they want that opportunity, they shouldn't have to ask for it.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Addison, and I'm also a student here at Sealth International High School. And a lot of what I was going to talk about is very similar to what Tomi was saying. I've been kind of keeping a little list of notes here, so don't mind me looking at my phone. But I hear everyone on the panel today talking a lot about how they want to get involved with students and how you'd want our help in these kinds of things. And I've been hearing a lot about how you used to be more involved, but I'm not hearing how you're currently involved. And I know that we're trying to take these steps forward to approach these problems within our communities together. But as Tomi was saying, the responsibility of taking that first step and that first action should not be put onto our students. It should be coming from outside community members, not necessarily our staff or admin either. They have enough on their plates already. So if we do want to start some sort of student community safety board to do more forums like this, I'll join. Just let me know. Just tell us what we can do to help. Give us concrete structures for places we can go, meetings that we can attend in order to get our voice out there and in order to help. Because the responsibility shouldn't be on us to be doing all of the outreach all of the time. There are people in our community who are dying. This is a dire situation. It's not just something that we're getting together to chat about one time. It's something that's going to need continual follow-through in order for it to have any sort of measurable outcomes and any sort of action being taken here. It's honestly disappointing that it's taken us 3 months in order to do something like this. Our student was killed in January, and it happened right across the street from us. And it's only just now that we're hearing from these external sources what could have been the causes of that and what we're doing in response to that. It's disappointing that it's taken this long for us. And it's just time for us to come together as a community to solve that and to bring students into the conversation. Like Tomi was saying, there's only really 3 students in this room right now, and that is an issue. There are supposed to be more people here, more people listening. This is supposed to be more accessible for us than having a meeting at 8 p.m. on a school night. We should be having another conversation about this with more people and more ideas and more students who are going to put input about this.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi everyone. Actually, my name is Sharif Adam Muhammad Mubarak's parent. I appreciate a lot of things that you guys answer on our first meetings, like alarms and stuff like that. There's some things that I want to ask. One of them has to do with the policy. There are people who work with my son about it. The police were not able to question because of the law that is enacted in the state. As a leaders, you guys sit in front of us, how you feel about that law? Is that the right thing? How minor they are? They were there with my son. They should be seeing something happening in the bathroom, or they were involved. And the police were prevented not to question those kids. They are sitting in their houses peacefully. We are hurting. In the way you guys could give feedback to the state how the law is distracting the police work. If minor is a killer, is a killer. The law shouldn't be protecting the killer. We are as victims' family still hurting. still hurting. I think that law should be repealed, should be considered. And I'm asking you how you feel about that law. And that's my question for tonight. Thank you.
Hello? Anyway, sorry for your loss, first of all, and thank you for coming up and stepping up and talking about a difficult issue and talking about what we deem is not a law that's conducive to solving the crime. This happens a lot. The state legislature will pass a law and it goes out and it's tried and true and it's worked over and then they get feedback and they might switch it, they might change it at a later time. So that's the process we're in now, right? And while he's talking, for anybody else to know, like I had mentioned before, juveniles are afforded a lot more protections under the law, according to this new law that happened not too long ago. So one of those issues is as soon as you investigate a crime, they're afforded to have a lawyer present or a parent or somebody of age before they're questioned, right? And unfortunately, when we do investigations, especially in homicides or assaults and serious crimes, those initial moments are very important, right? Because that's when you gather most of your information and you go off from there on and develop your probable cause. But unfortunately, we would strapped to that kind of information in that law. And I can tell you, we've had a lot of meetings, we're working a lot on this, we're getting back to the people who could change this and maybe adjust it, or we're just trying to find better ways to work within the law. So that's all still being worked out. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm sorry because this happened, I would say on your watch, right? It happened to your child. While we were just introducing to a law that probably prevented a little bit more information being released at the moment. But I can tell you that the investigation on this incident is still ongoing, and it's proactive and it's active. And even though all those individuals that you're saying were not captured on video or anything, we did identify almost everybody that's involved, and everybody that was involved was interviewed. What came out of that interview, I don't have that information. And I don't have the full investigation in front of me because it's still active and they wouldn't release it even to me. But I can tell you that yes, we are working on it.
Want to be conscious of time as well. It's 8:03, and I've been here since 6:30. I also just want to make a point that there are, if you don't feel comfortable answering or asking your question, please scan the QR code and/or a note card. And if you want to leave contact info on that note card, we will respond as soon as we can. And anything else you'd like to share, Principal Ingram?
I think that Principal Morales and I were going to share about our schools and our actions and what we're thinking about as well. And I'm happy to start with that.
Sure.
So something that, I really appreciate hearing about fundamental values of our schools and how we uphold those values. I think if we counted how many times the word community was said tonight, we'd be in the thousands. And so that's a key value that we have, community. Hearing about having a trusting adult and the difference that makes, and there's tons of evidence to show the difference that knowing and being known by a trusting adult and that evidence that it has. Some work that we in and out, because those are our values, right? Community, relationships, because that's the foundation of what school is. And how are you safe? Because you're known, because you belong, and because you have relationships. And you can't be expected to go to school and learn if you don't have those fundamental pieces, right? And so that is really central to who we are at Denny. And I know we share that with Chief Sealth as well, is that we're a whole campus and that we are together in that. What work specifically are we doing around that? And it actually receded. It started right at the beginning of the year. We at Denny are taking a very intentional look where we have reached out and connected with a survey with each and every one of our students because we want to know if they have a trusted adult at school, if they have somebody they can turn to. If they don't, what it means to them to have a trusted adult, what that looks like, what does that feel like? We've been doing trainings with the whole staff about what are those relationships, what are those connections that make it meaningful, because those are the relationships that build community and build safety. We have discovered that we have students that don't have trusted adults, which is not surprising, right? And so we have actively taken work, and we have, all of us have gone in and we have signed up to intentionally connect with each and every student. So we have taken on additional students that maybe are not in our classrooms, that I don't see as often. And we have taken them on, and we're taking intentional steps to check in with them and to develop those relationships to have a trusted adult. Because we know that that's foundational, is trusted adults, so that we can build community, so that we can have that safety, and so that we can have the brilliant shine of our students. So that's one thing that we did. And something else that was mentioned tonight is that this is not just a flip of a switch. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is progress. This is step by step. We've got to grow to this and become better and realize our goals and our dreams together. And that we do that by coming together with all of these partnerships. And something that's going to be brilliant is as more and more we become that neighborhood school where we have the adults from our community partners coming in. I mean, we already have that a lot actually with Parks and Rec, and that's a key. And we have Parks and Rec people in our building. We have Seattle Housing Authority people in our building, and they are part of our trusted adults. They are people that our kids are connecting with, our scholars are connecting with, and feel safe. And what does that do? It brings out safety because we have those conversations, we have those relationships, we're having that communication, and we know each other. And so I just can't underestimate the importance of relationship and belonging, and that all of the partners also develop that with our students too. And so I would say that is the core of the work that we're doing at Denny around this.
Thank you, Principal Ingram. I will echo a lot of much of what Principal Ingram said. I want to just also, before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to everyone who asked a question, stood up on the mic and whatnot and said your piece or asked a question. I know that that's not always the easiest thing to do. I want to shout out to our students who are here in the audience who asked questions. Thank you, Addison, as well, for your question, for your statement. Much appreciated. And again, another shout out to our students who are helping with the tech and the audio tonight. Thank you to our panelists who, are here on a Tuesday evening, at 8:09 p.m. Shout out to the staff, to the admin team, to the staff members here who've been here since 8 a.m. Can we do a round of applause? And even earlier for Danny. So, with that being said, this is what I would ask of anybody here in the crowd, and for those who left, maybe if you know them, let them know. I invite anybody in this audience who doesn't work in this building or go to school in this building to visit our campus. You can pick any time, you can pick any day, maybe not Wednesdays. Wednesdays is kind of busy with the shortened periods, and it's just always, I don't think anybody actually likes Wednesdays, at least that works in the building. But I would, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I would welcome anybody to come visit our building. I'm sure Principal Ingram would also extend the invitation to Denny, and see for yourself what's happening here in these halls. Okay, I'm always welcoming people and having meetings with folks who don't have a lot of interactions with Chief Sealth other than what they might see in the media. Often what I hear, oh, it's so quiet, and I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty common. It's a pretty things are pretty smooth, and that is the norm. That is the norm. But you know what? Why don't you come see for yourself? Why don't you sign in? Get a little visitor's pass, maybe, make an appointment with somebody, or with one of the administrators and take a walk around the school building. Have one of our students here give you a tour. I don't know, check out our library. Or, I don't know, hang out in the Galleria, volunteer your time. I'm telling you, you might be pleasantly surprised, or you might just be surprised. And so I would, that's what I'll finish with. Feel free to visit at any time. We welcome you and we appreciate you. Shout out to the PTSA for all their work as well. Thank you. I think that's all we got, y'all. It's 8:11. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Have a great evening. What's left of it.